Most people think relationships end because someone stopped loving, someone cheated, someone became cruel, or something visibly broke. But for some rare souls, the ending is much quieter than that. They leave because something inside them has started to disappear. They leave because the future no longer feels possible. They leave because love, as real as it is, has started to cost them their truth, their growth, their inner freedom, or their sense of self. And that is what makes it so devastating, because how do you explain this to someone? I still love you, I still care, I still feel everything, but I cannot stay here anymore. And this is especially true for the four rare deep intuitive types: INFJ, INTJ, INFP, and INTP. And here's what happens. The INFJ often leaves when the relationship starts killing meaning. The INTJ often leaves when the future no longer makes sense. The INFP often leaves when love begins to require self-betrayal. And the INTP often leaves when the bond becomes psychologically airless. But those four sentences are just the surface. Behind each one is a psychological architecture that most people, including the person who left, never fully understood about themselves. Carl Jung spent his whole life studying this. He believed that leaving people you love can be the most painful part of becoming yourself. In this video, we are going to go all the way down. We start with what all four types share, the deeper pattern that makes leaving while loving even possible. Then we go into each type specifically, because the way the INFJ experiences this from the inside is completely different from the way the INTP does, and each one goes deeper than you expect. And once you understand which reason belongs to which soul, something that may have confused you for years will finally make sense. Stay until the end, whether this is your own story or whether you loved someone like this and never understood why they left. Here is the sentence most people cannot hold. Love can be real and still not be enough. That sounds brutal, but it is one of the most painful truths in human relationships. You can love someone with your whole heart and still know, somewhere quiet and certain, that staying is slowly costing you something you cannot afford to lose. Your truth, your direction, your inner freedom, the version of you that existed before you started shrinking yourself to keep the relationship alive. This is what most people misunderstand about these rare minds. They are not always leaving because they stopped feeling. Very often, they are leaving because they felt too much for too long. They saw too much. They understood too much. They waited too long for something to change. And at some point, the question shifted. It was no longer, do I love this person? It became, can I remain myself if I stay? That second question is not emotional. It is existential. And it is the one deep intuitives cannot stop asking once it starts. Carl Jung called the deeper process individuation, the painful, often devastating task of becoming who you truly are. Not the version that adapted to survive, not the version that learned to explain itself in softer and softer language, the real one. And individuation does not always look beautiful from the outside. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like withdrawal. Sometimes it looks like disappointing someone you love. Sometimes it looks like leaving a relationship that everyone around you still believed was intact. Because becoming whole sometimes requires separating from the life that trained you to abandon yourself. And sometimes, tragically, that life includes someone you never wanted to lose. Here is what nobody tells you about how deep intuitives actually leave. It never starts with the exit. It starts with noticing a small pattern, a repeated emotional mismatch, a conversation that circles back to the same place and changes nothing. The way the body feels after every conflict, the way dreams slowly get smaller, the way they start editing themselves before speaking, choosing the version of the truth that will cause the least damage until eventually they are not sure what the unedited version even sounds like anymore. This is what makes intuitive types different from others. They do not just react to what is happening in the present. They sense direction. They feel the future forming before it arrives. They see the architecture of what the relationship is becoming before it becomes it. This is why an INFJ or an INTJ may leave while the people around them are still thinking, but nothing that serious happened. To the outside world, maybe nothing did, but inside, the pattern became visible. The small incompatibility that would become a large one. The unresolved wound that would keep returning in different costumes. The emotional distance that was technically manageable today, but would be insurmountable in 2 years. And once a deep mind sees that pattern clearly, they cannot unsee it. That is when love becomes tragic, because the heart may still be fully attached, but the deeper self has already understood. Jung spoke about the self, not the ego, not the persona, not the version of you that performs and adapts and stays reasonable in difficult conversations. The self is the deeper organizing center of the psyche, the part that knows when you are becoming false. And when the self begins to call, it does not always call loudly. It begins as a whisper, a heavy feeling in the chest, a quiet dread before seeing them, a sense that the relationship is technically fine, but spiritually wrong, that everyone else would call it acceptable, but something in you knows it is not alive. That is how it starts. Not as rebellion, as a whisper, then as tension, then as grief, then as a truth you cannot push back down. And this is where deep minds suffer most quietly, because they still love the person. They may still feel tenderness, loyalty, attraction, memory, gratitude, but another part of them has started to say, this relationship is no longer where I can become real. And once that sentence becomes true, staying begins to feel like slow self-abandonment. There is another layer Jung would name the shadow, because sometimes what we call loyalty is actually terror, fear of hurting them, fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of becoming the person who leaves, fear that if we go, all those years will mean nothing, fear that love, once lost, will never return in another form. These fears are not shameful, they are human, but they are not love. And these rare minds feel the difference. They feel when staying is no longer devotion, but self-erasure. They feel when the relationship has become something they are preserving out of fear of what leaving would mean about them. That is where the most painful decision forms, because leaving someone you no longer love is one kind of heartbreak. Leaving someone you still love is another kind entirely. There is no clean anger to protect you, no simple story, no villain to blame. Only this: I love you, but I cannot keep losing myself here. Now let us look at the 4 types, because they all reach this place, but they arrive there by completely different roads, and the reason each one leaves is distinct, psychologically, emotionally, and existentially. If you hear yours, you will recognize it immediately. Let's start with the INFJ, and what I'm about to describe may be the quietest kind of leaving there is. The INFJ does not leave easily. They try to understand. They give second chances and third ones, and sometimes many more than that. They keep seeing the wounded person behind the difficult behavior. They keep believing that if they explain things with enough patience, enough emotional honesty, enough love, something can shift. But the INFJ has one threshold that, once crossed, cannot be uncrossed. They leave when the relationship starts killing meaning. For the INFJ, love is not just affection. It has to feel connected to depth, to truth, to something that is growing. The relationship has to be alive at the level of the soul. Not perfect, not always peaceful, but real, honest, capable of becoming deeper than it was yesterday. When that disappears, when the conversations repeat, when the same wound keeps returning in different costumes, when the partner is physically present, but the bond no longer feels spiritually present, something in the INFJ begins to quietly detach. They may still love the person. That is what makes it so devastating to watch from the inside. They still care. They still feel the tenderness. But the relationship has gone spiritually silent. And for an INFJ, that silence is not just painful, it is suffocating. The INFJ can survive difficulty. They can survive complexity. They can survive real pain if the pain has meaning. What they cannot survive is a relationship where the soul is slowly going quiet and no one else seems to notice or care or even understand what is being lost. This is why when an INFJ finally leaves, while still loving, while still caring, while still grieving, they often cannot fully explain it to the person, because the explanation requires the other person to understand a dimension of the relationship that they may have never been aware of. The INFJ does not leave because love ended. They leave because meaning ended first, and love alone could not keep them there. Now, the INTJ, and this one may be the hardest to understand from the outside. The INTJ loves differently, not less deeply, but structured differently. Their mind never fully stops projecting forward. Even in the warmth of a relationship, some part of them is always asking, where is this going? What pattern is forming? What kind of life does this become in 5 years, in 10? This is the most misunderstood thing about INTJs in love. People see their calm and read it as coldness. People see their decisiveness and read it as lack of feeling. But often the truth is the opposite. The INTJ may feel more than they ever show. They just do not allow feeling to erase what they can clearly see. The INTJ does not only ask, do I love this person? They also ask, can this become a life I respect? Are we growing in compatible directions? Do our values create a coherent future? Can we solve problems in a way that actually works? Or do we just revisit the same conflict with different words? And when the answer becomes clear enough, when the structural incompatibility has revealed itself too many times, the INTJ may leave with what looks like terrifying calm. Not because they feel nothing, because the conclusion has become unavoidable. And for the INTJ, arguing with an unavoidable conclusion is not loyalty, it is self-deception. They are not leaving a person. They are leaving a trajectory. They are leaving the future they can already see assembling itself. This is why the other person is often stunned. They say, but things were not that bad. The INTJ was already thinking they were becoming exactly that bad. The early signals were already there. The pattern was already legible. And once the INTJ reads the pattern, they cannot pretend they did not. The INTJ leaves when love remains, but long-term coherence does not. That is the distinction. Love may still be present, but if the future no longer makes structural sense, the INTJ begins to go. Now the INFP, and this is perhaps the most heartbreaking of the four. The INFP can love with an intensity and a loyalty that is genuinely rare. They do not just love the person in front of them. They love the possibility, the hidden beauty, the version of the relationship that could exist if both people met each other with full sincerity and full presence. This is why INFPs often stay longer than they should. They keep believing, keep forgiving, keep imagining that beneath the pain, something sacred is still worth protecting. They are not naive. They see the wound clearly, but they also see what the relationship could become, and that vision can hold them long past the point where another person would have already left. But the INFP has one breaking point that goes deeper than almost anything else. They leave when love begins to require self-betrayal. For the INFP, love must remain connected to inner truth. It must feel authentic. It must allow them to remain faithful to what they deeply value. When a relationship starts asking them to silence their values, deny their emotional reality, or become a version of themselves they do not recognize. It does not just hurt them, it injures them at the level of identity. They may still love the person. That is what makes it so painful. They may still see the beauty, still remember the beginning, still ache for what could have been. But inside, a sentence has formed that they may never say out loud. I am loved, but I am not seen. I am staying, but I am disappearing. I am preserving the relationship, but betraying myself. The INFP does not leave because the love was not deep enough. They leave because love became too far from truth. And for the INFP, love that requires self-betrayal is not love anymore. It is a slow moral injury, wearing the face of devotion. Their grief, when they go, is often enormous. Not just for the person, for the dream, for the imagined version of what could have been. That is the particular heartbreak of the INFP. They are not just mourning a relationship. They are mourning a possibility. But they will not return to a place where they had to abandon themselves to be loved. That is the line. And once they have crossed it consciously, they know. And finally, the INTP. And this one is the most misunderstood. People often misread the INTP in relationships. They see the distance, the quiet, the retreat, and they assume the INTP does not feel deeply. That they are simply wired for independence and commitment is not really in their nature. That misreading does real damage. Many INTPs love quietly and profoundly. Their attachment can be deep, loyal, and mentally intimate in a way that is rare. They show love through presence, through curiosity, through the willingness to let someone enter their inner world, which is not something they offer easily or often. But the INTP has one non-negotiable need that the relationship must protect: psychological space, room to think without being interrupted, room to process alone without being punished for the silence, room to question, to doubt, to explore ideas without feeling controlled or emotionally cornered, room to exist internally without constant pressure from the outside, demanding they perform emotion on a schedule. When a relationship removes that space, when every silence becomes an accusation, when every need for distance becomes a conflict, when their thoughts must be explained and justified before they are even fully formed, the INTP begins to suffocate. First internally, then emotionally, then physically. And from the outside, it can look like avoidance, like emotional shutdown, like a wall going up for no apparent reason. But from the inside, it often feels like survival. They are not retreating from the person. They are retreating toward the only place that still feels safe: their own mind. The INTP is not necessarily leaving love. They are leaving noise. They are leaving the feeling that their inner world no longer belongs to them, that every thought is monitored, every silence interpreted, every withdrawal weaponized. Once the INTP shuts down at that level, it is very hard to reach them again. Not because they are cruel, because the cost of remaining open became too high. The INTP leaves when love becomes mental suffocation. They may still love you, but they will choose air. 4 different types, 4 different breaking points, 4 different kinds of leaving, but one shared truth underneath all of them. They cannot stay in a relationship that forces them to betray their inner life. For the INFJ, the inner life needs meaning. For the INTJ, coherence. For the INFP, authenticity. For the INTP, space. Take those away, and love becomes a cage. Beautiful sometimes, real sometimes, but a cage. And this is the part that people on the outside rarely understand. These types are not built to survive on love alone. The relationship has to protect something sacred inside them. Not their comfort, not their ego, their inner reality, the private world that makes them who they are. When love becomes hostile to that inner reality, the departure begins, slowly, quietly, long before any words are spoken. By the time they finally leave, the other person may feel the ending came from nowhere. But for these rare souls, it came after hundreds of invisible moments. Hundreds of times asking, "Can I stay here and still become myself?" Until the answer became no. So if you left someone you still loved, hear this clearly. The love was not a mistake. The grief does not mean you chose wrong. Missing them does not mean you should return. Still caring does not mean you were supposed to stay. Sometimes the heart takes longer to accept what the deeper self already knows. And if someone like this left you, they may not have left because you meant nothing. They may have left because something in the relationship no longer allowed them to remain whole. That does not make the pain easier, but it may make it less impossible to hold. Because all four of these rare souls point to the same devastating truth. Some people do not leave because love ended. They leave because staying would have ended them. And sometimes the most devastating goodbye is not the one that says, "I do not love you anymore." It is the one that says, "I love you deeply, but I have to live." If this resonated with you, drop your type in the comments. And tell me, was it your own story? Or did this explain someone who left you? Both sides of this experience belong in this space. And if this is the kind of content that speaks to something most people never name, subscribe. There is much more where this came from. And if you want to support this work and have early access to selected videos, you can join the channel membership using the join button under this video. And remember, sometimes love does not disappear. Sometimes it becomes part of who you are becoming.